Welcome to the Brewers Institute podcast. I'm your host, Michael Capaldo. I'll speak with experienced brewery owners who have launched and grown their own brewing business. I'll share their wins, mistakes, and share advice on what they do differently next time. Welcome to this episode of the Brewers Institute podcast, and we've got with us two very special guests from one of my local breweries. We've got Matt and Sean here from Method Brewing Company. How you doing, gents?
How are you?
How are you, Michael?
Good. Now, for our audience, I know which one is Sean and which one's Matt, but perhaps you could introduce yourselves so everyone knows who's who.
I am Sean.
And I'm Matt.
There you go.
No one else here.
Cool, Sean and Matt. So we're going to do a podcast on you. I'm pretty stoked. I've been to your brewery quite a few times, obviously, because you are a local Newcastle brewery. Before we get into it, what beer are we going to drink with this podcast?
Well, we've got a selection, mate. We have the India Black Ale, the New World, or the Hazy. We've got sitting down here ready to pour up. So your choice.
What have you got on your end?
Let's go the Hazy Pale. I've got the Hazy Pale here.
All right, mate. Let's
background
with that.
Let's have a look at that.
Well, we can pour our own, I suppose, can't we?
You don't have
individuals.
You don't have a blurred background. Can you show us the can artwork for a second?
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah. Look at that. That's
bad
nice.
boy.
All backwards.
Nice and clean. Looking
Oh,
for
nice glass. Bloody grain fed glass.
I thought I'd go with a local brewery glass as well. That looks fantastic, guys. So, Matt and Sean, you're business partners, and you've got a third business partner, Gav, who hasn't joined us today.
Correct.
Because he actually has a job outside of the brewery as well.
At present, yes.
Yep. Fantastic. So can we start with the top? Let's start with, I guess, Sean, let's start with you. What was your background before you came into Method Brewing?
I've been brewing now for a bit over a decade, I suppose. Yeah, 2012. So 13 years in the business. Started out initially in beer, non-professionally in a homebrew shop, which was the very building we have Method Brewing in now, coincidentally.
So were you a brewer as well, or you just got a job in a homebrew shop?
No, just job in a homebrew shop. Just was pretty keen on the idea of making beer, and this is where I learned how to do it under the guidance of Mark Galatly. Here for 2 years, and then got offered a job up at Murray's under Sean Sherlock, who I know you're quite familiar with, and probably most of your listeners would be too. So then, yeah, Murray's Brewery for 8-ish years. Half of those I was the head brewer, and left there in 2020. Had a short stint out of brewing before this very quickly came about, well, the idea of it and the planning of it. And then we opened up here in 22.
What was that year?
2022.
Yeah.
22.
Yeah, that was that was a pretty opaque year, wasn't it? 2022, like basically just coming out of COVID, and what a crazy time to open a business.
Yeah, it was.
Looking back, yes.
Yeah.
That stage.
It was convenient though, overall, I think, that timing for us as a business. Everyone was pretty keen to get out and drink beer or do something that outside of their own house, because it was very nice. Even though they'd been able to for a while, there was still, I think early in that year or late the year before, there was still the Omicron getting around. So there was still a fair bit of locking down here, there and everywhere. It's hard to remember though, isn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely when everything was back open again for business, I think. So we had a pretty good little honeymoon period there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Things were affected through the build too, I suppose, of shutdowns and deliveries of things.
Yeah.
I suppose that stage. But as far as opening as a brewery, it was good.
Yeah, I guess that's a really interesting point. Let's delve into that a little bit later in the podcast, because it's a fascinating concept about opening with all those barriers in place. Sean, what was your we'll get to you in a second, Matt, but Sean, what was your little interim career in between Murray's and starting this brewery here, by the way?
You'd know this quite well, Michael. I was painting. So I started my own house painting business very briefly after leaving Murray's. And one of my very early on customers was Michael Capaldo and his entire house.
Indeed, I didn't ask, but and great job on the house, by the way. But more to the point, interested to know what sort of skills outside of brewing you brought into like one, did you bring brewing skills into the business when you came in? Yes, and two, did you bring trades or other skills into the brewery? So you've got that ability to work with your hands outside of beer. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
And Matt, what about yourself? What was your background?
So I was predominantly a qualified builder for most of my working career. Had a bit of time in the mines, coal mine industry for 7 odd years there, but majority of my time's been building and commercial, residential. Had a taste of both, and then got to a stage where I was like, I just not lost the love of it, but just kind of needed to go in another direction. And after a bit of searching on what could be the next journey, I just wanted to get into craft beer. That was just kind of what I really wanted to set out to do. So I think it was at a time when the industry was really humming. So it was really kind of difficult to get into I did apply everywhere. There was a lot of resumes sent out to different breweries, but finally got a start at Hope Estate, entry level. So down the packaging line and doing all things. That was kind of before, I was in between the first COVID outbreak and I was in that period that we had out of that. So that's 21, I think. And then, spent just under 18 months out there at Hope. Completed my IBD out there while I was there. And then this idea came about and it kind of happened quite quickly, didn't it? So
very.
I kind of had to pull stumps out there and get serious about what we were going to do in here. So I kind of went back to building for a little bit of a duration there until the DA was approved. Then I jumped into here with the boys, starting to build this place.
More building.
Yeah.
So that's pretty interesting in itself. So bringing that building career in is obviously immensely helpful when you're starting up a small brewery. Having someone with with Matt's capabilities.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah.
It was strange, but because I was at a time where I kind of was done with building. I was really happy what I was as brewing side of things. But yeah, it was good. It was good to get back into it, especially the boys, and we hooked in for quite a quick period. Really.
Yeah,
It was
a real last hurrah for you.
Yeah, it was like November was the DA was approved, and then we were opening end of June, so following year. So there was a lot that took place.
And also having a child.
Yeah, I had that too.
Wow. So that must have been a big impact on your life, starting a new business and having a child. Busy times.
It was busy times, yes. He was actually born 2 weeks after the DA was approved.
Yeah.
2 weeks before, sorry. There was lots of good news coming in November.
Wow. So you both come from really sort of diverse brewing backgrounds, but you've both got production facility backgrounds. For those who don't know, the two breweries, Murray's and Hope Estate, both in the broader Hunter Valley region, and both certainly back in the times when you were working there were production facilities that were really pumping a lot of great beer and some pretty big volumes as well. So you came into this business with that sort of capability, but how did the concept come together of saying, hey, let's do something? Let's brewery.
Gav and I chatted a fair bit, at least 18 months to 2 years prior to that, about, we'd go to Marrickville and we'd say, you could do it, you could do it, not knowing the depths of what you have to go to do it at that stage, but the concept was there. It was like the idea was there. And then we just continued to bug Sean up at Murray's to come and just watch things and come to canning days, just come up and check it out. And then there was a stage there where you were leaving and we were swapping. I was going into the industry, Sean was coming out.
Yeah. And still at that point, there was no specific idea that we were going to do this.
No.
It was just, that was where our careers and lives were just going, and we were having beers on Gav's back deck at that point, just chatting about where we were going in life. And it kind of then, not too long later, I mean, that was what, mid 2020?
Yes, that was Jan.
And then by January the next year, pretty much in January, I don't know, there was just a moment of just like, well, shit,
would you be interested in coming on board or something?
If we don't,
If we got together.
if we got together, if we don't, and the realization that between the three of us, if we didn't do it, we'd never do it. We'd go to the grave wondering.
Yep.
So, because trying to do something like this by yourself either requires, I don't know, working 200 hours a week or
Yeah.
or $2 million, neither of which we
No.
had or were willing to do. So,
Yeah.
So yeah, it's between the three of us though, it became a feasible idea.
Sure. So you went in there with limited resources in terms of money and in terms of time. Like you've all got families. I'm not sure about Gav, but obviously,
Well, not then, but now.
He does now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. So you all went in there with the personal responsibilities in your personal life and finite resources to dig into
Definitely.
this. So you start up with the three business partners. How did that affect the type of business that you wanted to set up?
We all had a very similar idea of what we wanted to do.
Yeah.
I think there definitely wasn't a long period of back and forth of what kind of a business model we were aiming to do. We were very keen to keep it small.
Yeah.
Keep the beer at a local level, distribution wise.
We kind of mapped all these out in our business plan. We were kind of,
Yeah.
we did have a business plan.
We did, yeah. When that was the first thing we started doing was
Yeah.
as soon as we decided to do it, that was straight on to working out a business plan.
Yeah.
And I think, it came about pretty quickly that
Mm.
that was kind of the model that we were going to go for. Primarily sales over our own bar.
Yep.
It's-
Tap room was main priority. We hadn't really talked about packaging much of that stuff. But
Yeah, we got to
sure. Yeah.
towards the end of the business plan. I think we got on to packaging and doing things like that, but not really with too much of an idea of how far afield it would go, but knowing that it needed to be kept local enough that we could keep on top of the beer.
Mm.
With both of our backgrounds in witnessing a production facility and
Yep.
the difficulty in distributing beer and keeping beer fresh.
When I'd started at Hope, it was 24 hours. So 5 days, 24 hours. So
the production was 24 hours a day.
Yeah. So there was a night shift. And so, yeah. And then Sean, obviously, through the Murray's days, we kind of saw where it can go. But as Sean just, said then, we kind of wanted to keep it small, that business model, and focus in on the beer.
Yep.
Keep the love there.
Yeah,
and it's a really interesting challenge as well. As a brewer, you always want to get your beautiful beer into more people's hands. At the same time, every kilometer away the beer gets from the brewery, the greater the risk to quality and the higher the logistical challenges.
absolutely.
So you decide to keep it sort of local and try to service your market, your local market, basically.
Definitely.
That's a good point to talk about this beer actually now. This is delicious. What's what is in this hazy pale?
Malt wise, probably like a lot of hazy beers. There's a fair bit of oats in there, bit of chip malt. There is a little bit of melanoidin for a bit of colour and a bit of flavour.
Bit of Valoria from Voyager.
Yeah. Valoria is actually a pretty big component of most of our beers these days. A portion of it gives there's a lot of malt character coming from that base malt. Hop wise, it does change a little bit now and again, but hop wise, they're in the hot side Citra,
hot side, yeah.
and cold side has been
Mosaic Cryo.
for a while, and then we've mixed up that second cold side hop a little bit, so it's jumped around from Eldorado to Crush, and now this one's got
the Idaho 7. No, sorry.
no two.
Latest one was, yeah.
Latest one's Idaho 7. I think what we're drinking now would be Crush.
Yeah.
Wow, and that opens another can of worms in itself, isn't it? Like, how do you figure out, like, recipe development is so complex. We'll get into that a little bit in terms of quality in a minute, but we'll stick on the business side of things. So you've got three partners there. How did you fund the business when you were getting it off the ground?
Yeah, we went through a stage of deciding what the best way to do that was, and we did consider early on bringing on either finance from maybe a fourth, potentially silent partner.
Yep.
And then I think it was to remember you guys floating the idea of maybe just trying to fund it ourselves and individually bringing in what limited money we could.
Yeah.
and make it happen with on a very tight budget, and that seemed like the most logical way forward. So yeah, our own
Just
limit,
pulling what funds we had left. Yeah.
big borrowing and sealing what we could.
Right. So really everything on the line for you guys. So I presume that's like, you know, if you've got a house equity in your house or personal loans with banks and that sort of thing.
Well, yeah. Well, that was kind of actually number one not to do.
Yep.
Not to put our
Nothing was
anything on the line.
yeah.
It was, if that money, if it all worst case scenario came around and it all went under, then no one's life was on the line. No one's house was on the line. So
It was I just recently sold a house, so we had obviously some money sitting there, which was handy, which was very handy. So yeah, no, it's just nothing was to be come back at us really, wasn't it? It was always that wanted that security still there.
That's awesome. And what about, were things like equipment financing something you considered as well?
yeah. Oh, without that, we wouldn't have been able to do it.
Right.
all.
So that was one of the major drivers. Okay.
Yes.
Guaranteed. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And very lucky, really, the timing of when we did it. If you'd went back, I don't know, maybe 5 years before that, I don't know if a finance company would have looked at you
Yeah, true.
and said, oh, yeah, this is an industry we're happy to put $300,000 on the line for. But at that point, it was booming. And I don't know if you'd be able to do it now. I have no idea what kind of struggles you'd go through to get financing, you know, on the back of a brand new business that has no financial standpoint or you know, can't show any previous.
Any revenue? You
Workings.
haven't
Yeah.
brought $1 in the tills yet. Absolutely.
Yeah,
You get 300
So I don't know
grand.
what that's like now or what it would have been 5 years ago. But yeah, that time it was relatively easy. It was financed on the back of the equipment itself. So if everything goes under, the equipment goes back to the people who have financed it for us. So until we have paid it off, it is theirs essentially.
Yep. Fantastic. What a great way to build your business though,
Yeah,
from a
It's
financial perspective, if you haven't got a heap of money.
definitely worked for us. It was, you know, the way it was sort of sold to us essentially in working with our equipment provider was, you know, if you look at it as like keg and a half a week over your taps and you're pretty much paying for the equipment. So that seemed pretty doable.
achievable.
Absolutely. So how do you run your business? Like who, you know, you've got two brewers and we've got Gavin. Gavin's a paramedic. How do you actually, like, you know, run the back end of the business? You know, the financial statements or the, you know, managing people, wages, expenses, etc.
It's definitely something we found out along the way.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, we had a business plan, obviously, but as far as our absolute rock solid roles, once we opened the doors, wasn't as clearly defined as maybe it should have been. But it's kind of what's worked for us. Things have fallen into place where people's skill sets have been the strongest,
points are, yeah.
I suppose. So as far as computer work, I've ended up doing a lot of that, a lot of emailing.
Poor Sean ended up on the computer. I ended up on the brew house.
Well played, Matt.
Yeah,
He's done well there. No, but that's worked out really well for us, you know, because we've had a long period of time here where Gavs has been back, as you mentioned, been back at the paramedics full time. And that wasn't the case when we first opened. So he still had the foot in the door then, but the majority of the time he was here in the brewery. But
So Matt actually left his, Gavin left his full-time job,
Yep.
started in the brewery, and then you realized actually we need a little bit more cash in the brewery. We can cover that. Why don't you go back to the paramedics, earn a bit of money until the
couple
business.
of other reasons as well.
Yeah, multiple other reasons. We're having a child for him, like in between, so that was definitely a pretty big incentive to go back to paramedics and be able to get his paternity leave, which is a pretty attractive amount of time with the paramedics. So that was a bit of a no-brainer, and that's just kind of what worked for his family. But then also, for the business, it was pretty good timing as well, to be honest.
We hit a stage where it was just kind of the whole industry itself had taken a bit of a dip, not just in brewing, but hospitality in general, I think. Things did slow up a little bit there.
Yeah.
So it kind of happened at a really good time.
Yeah. We definitely, we weren't taking it personally. It was, we
Yeah.
saw it across the board. Everyone in hospitality was feeling the exact same thing. Interest rates were going up. And, you know, the weekend after an interest rate rise, everyone just saw Spinifex grass rolling across the the tap room or the pub, you know. So it was pretty tricky for a while there for everyone.
Yeah, that's interesting. And as a group of three partners, so it's just the three of you who own the business now.
Yep.
Great, fantastic. Do you have an ASIC registered board of directors, or do you have any sort of? Yeah, you do. Is it the three of you?
Yeah, that's the three of us. Yep.
Yep. Okay, cool. And do you get together outside of the brewery and actually look at, or make sure that your business governance that's running the business is compliant and is working well?
Yeah, we've had some external person look over the books and just have a look at the business through a work colleague of his, and yeah, everything was going really well, like according to these guys, and they're pretty well respected in what they do. So we're pretty happy with the
But yeah,
feedback that we got. So
but yeah, compliance wise, we've got an accountant on the books that does the really difficult stuff for us and makes sure that we're ticking all the boxes and doing all the right things. So that's
very
we can sleep easily at night knowing that that's all done properly.
Yeah, fantastic. Have you got any structures in place for if you have disagreements as partners? Like, is it a 2-to-1, or does everyone have to be on board?
I can't remember what that is, but
It is-
we did do all that.
majority, yeah.
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 Majority rules.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not something that we've had to.
Got to get out and campaign.
Yeah. It's not something that we've ever had
No.
to do a difficult, veto the third person or anything.
There is a partnership agreement in place.
Yeah.
We've got things. We kind of did that at the start just to get things where they should be.
Yeah. Make sure everyone's covered in any scenario pretty much.
Yeah, fantastic. So yeah, it sounds like you set up the business really smartly from the start, just so that everyone would go in, your houses weren't on the line, you knew who your partners were, and everyone knew broadly what they were bringing into the business and where their boundaries were. So that's cool. So let's talk a little bit about production. I can see your brewery behind me. I can see a couple of bright beer tanks and hot liquor tanks. Is it?
Yeah, that's bright tank number 2.
Yeah. 2 brights and a cold you can see. And then
Yep.
further down the rest of the brew house, I suppose. Yeah.
So what sort of brew house do you have? What sort of capacity do you have? And why did you choose that type of brew house?
10 hect brew house,
3 vessel.
3 vessels, 3.5 vessels, sold to us as by Mr. Neil Cameron from Brewtique. He's a good salesman, Mr. Cameron. And it's a good brew house. He was right.
Terrific brew house.
Yeah, it's got the capabilities of doing double batching in 10 hours, roughly, or 9 to 10 hours. So you can cut out about a 3-hour chunk there if you're doing a double batch. Be able to send the wort from the second batch back into the mash tun and boil in there if needed.
So
Fermentation capacity.
Sorry. Yep. So you've got a mash lauter kettle system.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah, mash. Well, it's a mash kettle and then a lauter and then a kettle
mash
whirlpool.
kettle lauter. Yep. Okay.
Gas fired, which enables us, as Sean said, mash tun can heat up and boil away while you're sending your other one to tank on your first batch. And it's pretty simple, faultless at the moment. It's going really well. 3.5 years on now. Really
invested a little bit more cash in a computer system, bit of automation on it from Thermocraft, designed and built in Victoria in Melbourne. And that's been very handy for just a little bit of accuracy in there as far as, your strike temps, your runoff temps, your lautering speed and things like that. So that was a worthwhile upgrade to be put in there because that wasn't necessarily required. That's something, and again, with the state of where the brewing industry is, equipment-wise, you go back 5 years, that this has been a pretty new invention of, not automation, obviously, but affordable automation. Outside of that, you would have been looking at something from Germany for $300,000, but, we were able to get the equivalent for about 50 grand. So that was definitely a good investment.
And does that sort of automation, is it reliable? Like, is it reliable?
It's reliable, yeah.
Definitely. We don't use it to the extent that, you can push the button and the beer gets made for you by any means. It has a lot more capabilities than what we're using it for. But at the moment, it's, for that reliability of hitting the correct strike temp. That's really important. I mean, for any brewer that knows, much about making beer, getting that mash temp correct every time, especially when you're trying to make repeatable beers, and put a product to market that's got a correct ABV, then you need that mash temp to be correct every time. And this gives us that capability. And time-wise, you can walk away from the equipment for, periods of time and know that the automation's taking care of certain processes so that you're not constantly there adjusting minute little
Things haven't changed.
Yeah.
Cows don't need resetting. Consistency is probably the big thing too. Yeah, a lot of our core range beers are so consistent on brew days now. It's like all targets are hit the same. It's just that's got to be down to automation, really helping a lot.
It also helps that Matt's pretty good on Brewdex. So
Thanks, mate. It's all computer.
Or is it? Yeah, that's right. It's all the computer. And how important is consistency as a local brew pub?
Oh, so important.
Yeah. Definitely with this beer, the hazy, it's probably our best seller. A lot of people know it really well by now.
You've got plenty of people that come in and they want a different beer every time they walk in the door, but you've got well over half, I reckon, of the regular customers that walk in the door, they drink the same beer every time they come in here. So they want that beer to taste the same as what it did last time when they really enjoyed it. And that was the reason why they walked back in the door. So if you can't provide that, then you're definitely doing yourself a disservice. Yeah. Very important.
People can be unforgiving.
I sort of feel like pre-COVID, you could get away with a lot. Consistency's always been important, but as a craft brewer, you could get away with a lot in terms of inconsistency if the beer tasted good. But I guess that a part of, you haven't just built a brewery, you really are in a little community, and you've built a little community there. So you're a local pub as well as a manufacturing facility. So people want to go in there and they want that repeatable flavor and experience every time, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it becomes like you said, a community hub. It's to have someone walk in the door once and drink your beer is great, but if they can walk in your door multiple times a week and drink a beer, obviously that's a no-brainer to try and encourage that. And the tap room and the tap room environment, and obviously the beer's a massive part of that, but there's a whole lot of other things, but they become very, very important factors for sure.
How many liters a year do you think you're brewing right now?
70 to 80,000. Yeah, roughly.
Great. And most of that is going over your tap room, or a bit wholesale as well?
No, there's a decent amount of wholesale in there.
We've got 14 bottle shops. Yeah, 14 bottle shops locally now. Venues have picked up a fair bit too now. So we've got 3 or 4 venues where it's kind of permanent taps situation, hopefully.
Yeah.
Ongoing. So they're good little ones. You kind of just, beer goes out and you forget about them, really, don't you? It's good to keep up. You kind of, I don't know, you're obliged to keep that, up to each venue that they're hosting your tap on. So that's working well.
Yeah, it's like Matt said, it's taken a bit longer to get those taps. We haven't tried to seek them out. That's a nightmare of a game, trying to acquire taps.
Yep.
Especially it's a tricky world out there now.
Yeah,
trying to get on
and we
taps.
found out that pretty short and sweet when we did dip our toes in actually trying to chase taps, and just found out how every venue wants a good deal. They want to know
what are the complexities in there? What complexities do you face as a small 70,000 litre a year brew pub? What do you face?
Well, you've got the big fish and then the bigger fish on top of that. So you've obviously contracts. You're fighting against your 2 big conglomerates that have got what's most of the time 70 to maybe even 90% of taps just tied up. So you can't even look at those ones. And then you've got your other medium-sized breweries that are fighting really, really hard for those other taps that are left over. And then you've got us as a very small...
Occasional scraps.
Yeah, occasional scraps, potentially, for sure. And so to try and compete with either of those 2 types of breweries is really tricky. So I think after we had dipped our toes in there and found out how difficult it was to continue to do what we're doing as well as we could, and hope that they came and knocked on our door and said, "Can we please have some beer, sir?" And it's happened
Yeah.
to a degree.
So I imagine they're really, you'd obviously have pretty close relationships with those venues, and I presume they're reasonably close to your cellar door or to your brew pub.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, bottle shop wise as well. Matt would know. I mean, Matt does a lot of the beer drops. I mean, we're all doing some beer drops, but Matt definitely has done the vast majority of bottle shop and other drops, and he would know all of them, by their first name for sure. So as the guy that's making the beer, he's also the one that can shake the hand of the person that's selling it on our behalf and
talk a lot when I get there.
Yeah, and that is important. Relationships are important in any aspect of life, especially when you're a small business. If the person that's buying the beer off you knows your name and a bit about your life and all that kind of stuff, there's a connection there. And
I must, like, a lot of the local bottle shops, your big ones in Newcastle, have really got behind, pushing the local, getting behind us from the get go, really, and just have been really good in pushing our brand out to the people, and pretty appreciative of all that. And as you said, it's good relationships that we have built with them, and they've been really good in doing that for us.
Yeah, Newcastle's a pretty small community, really.
Yeah.
Once you delve into it, it's got a pretty big population base broadly, but it didn't really take long to get to know everyone. I mean, we also had some connections to start with, I suppose, but that was more specifically within just making beer.
Yeah.
Rather than actually selling beer as well. So
Yeah. So talking about making beer, I'm ready for my next beer, by the way. Shall we have another one?
sure,
But hurry up.
bit of getting.
So
What do we have next, Michael?
I've got I really want to try the India Black Ale, actually. There's an India Black Ale, there's a New World IPA, and there's a Dark Saison. You tell me.
Yeah, I think India, mate. I think it's a good choice.
Yep. Okay, great. So I love this style of beer, India Black Ale. Can you tell us a little bit about?
It's an interesting one, isn't it? It's I think traditionally maybe they're a little less roasty and chocolatey than what we've got in here. Yeah, I think you're getting a little bit more of those kind of characters with our version of it. But still great hop flavor length, great hop aromas. It's got a tricky one to choose those hop varieties that are not going to clash with your darker malts, which is not always the case. So in this instance, we've got Aussie hops in late, and they seem to work really well. It doesn't, on paper, it doesn't sound like it would, not specifically because they're Aussie hops, but just generally any kind of, overtly flavoursome or aromatic hops working with chocolate and roast characters. But the fruitiness of the Eclipse and
We actually had,
circuit worked really well.
I think we had HBC, the 522 in
On the hot side as well. Yeah. True.
from Australia, from HBA.
Yeah, I think that's HBC 522 is actually an American hop from the Hop Breeding Company, but yeah, provided in from a local hop supplier, no doubt. So that's really interesting because it is such a clash of the flavors so often, this style, right? And this beer here is like, it's got sweetness, it's got that malt bitterness, it's got the hop bitterness, it's got a lot of roast character going on. There's like, it's a hell of a complex beer.
Yeah, I think for us, keeping that those roast chocolate flavors as smooth as possible helps with the integration of the hops and the malt.
Are you using like dehusked, dehulled?
For the most part, yeah. I think there was a little bit of husked chocolate malt in there, but the majority of it is chocolate wheat, which no husk, obviously, and then some carafa.
Carafa too,
yeah, dehusked roast malt.
What does the role of the husk play in the flavor outcome?
Well, you're getting just a little bit more of that astringency, those polyphenols
pulling that through
in the husk. It's going to add to that the tannins potentially that you're going to draw out of them, and potentially a bit more of that astringent character. So yeah, trying to minimize that as much as possible in a beer like this, I think was
You're quite unpleasant.
yeah.
As opposed to this, which is quite pleasant. This is super velvety, and it's still got a nice big hot punch to it. And what about what role does yeast selection play in this beer?
We chose BR 97 for this one.
Yeah, Lulleman's
Yeah.
BR1
Lulleman's,
7.
yeah.
It's a pretty clean fermenter. It's not throwing a heap of esters in there. So it's getting in there and doing a good job, and then getting out pretty quick. It flocks out nice and quickly. So there's definitely none of that left.
Just
of it.
how clean it ferments.
Yeah. It's but it's still at the same time giving you some character in there. You know, there's a reason why we choose that over some other, you know, ale fermenting strains. But out of the we use a lot of Lullemans, and out of the Lullemans range, that's probably one of the cleaner ale fermenters that they got in there.
Fantastic. So I guess that leads into my next question about quality. Now, how do you go about navigating quality in your brew pub?
So
Brew house side of things, I think just really good brewing practices.
Yeah.
We're just
and that's something you pick up from commercial brewing.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so for the two of us, you know, we've done that commercial side of thing where you've got to make sure that everything is done to an SOP and cleaned correctly. And that's definitely one of the first things that I noted about Matt's beer brewing ethic, is that he's fastidious with his cleaning of things. He's one of those few people who relishes
too far sometimes.
relishes in cleaning a tank and making sure it is done 100%. So, which is great, you know, every time. So things have just got to be as clean.
So
as
talk to us about that, Matt. Like, how do you know how do you know a tank's clean? Like, when is a tank Matt clean?
Well, we actually do 2 caustic runs. So where time constraints allow us to, we'll clear a tank, we'll clean it, just give it a quick caustic, quick hot rinse until brew day. And we'll do another caustic run just before on brew day itself. So it's just good to know that you are having 2 hits of a caustic, you know, of a clean there. And yeah, it's just always just double checking that tank on brew day.
visual inspection as well as
I've got a good torch.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then using good products, you know, a good
products,
cleaning
good
product, a good
selection,
sanitizing product, you know.
Yeah, so you do hit an acid cycle as well after the caustic.
Yep. Sorry. Yep.
A combination of that peracetic acid and hydrogen peroxide.
And it's to protect your longevity of your equipment. You've just got to look after it. That's just what it comes down to. So not only your product, you know, but you're going to get, you know, the longer time on that system and on the equipment that you're using, doing everything correctly.
I should also point out, between the three of us, we've all done external courses in how to brew beer, which have helped in our knowledge of what constitutes a good cleaning process. Not only the hands-on experience that Matt and I have had in breweries, but Matt's done the IBD. Gavin, myself, did the Ballarat course, which changes the name, Federation Uni, I think it is now. So that also plays a role, having a good theoretical understanding of those sort of things.
Definitely that commercial, but that learning out at Hope, and as Sean said at Murray's, like, you just can't beat that experience of being in full production like that. You've just got to be continuously sink or swim situations. And I think that's the best way to learn, really, is like get thrown in the deep end and you make your way out of there. But it can be repetitive, but it sinks in, you know, like it's just something that becomes second nature. And I definitely think that out there, what I went through out there to how I run myself in the brewery these days, that's all back to where I learned out there and certain people I learnt off too, Sean included. Yes.
Absolutely. So I'm just thinking back. You know, we've talked about the fact that you started this brewery up on quite a tight budget, and we know that quality control instruments in the brewery can cost. You could spend millions of dollars on QC instrumentation. What are the key pieces of instrumentation that you invested in when you started up your brewery that you knew that you needed ready to go on day one?
The Anton Pub, the Easy, Anton
Yeah,
Pub.
Easy Dens. I mean, that one's a bit of a no-brainer. Density meter.
Yep.
Making sure you can accurately test starting gravity, finishing gravity, and
pH.
That's a requirement for your ATO, for your exercise license,
yeah,
as well, right?
absolutely. And the advent of the Easy Dens, which can't remember what it retails for, but that one's a pretty approachable price for a pretty quality equipment
to kick off with. Yeah.
So that's, again, time-wise, pretty lucky that we've got that available to us. Then you've got the Caholtometer, to checking your carbonation unit.
Very important.
That one's very important, making sure carbonation's correct. And then look beyond that. Unfortunately, money constraints didn't allow us to go much further. A DO meter would have been lovely, but that just wasn't in the budget at the time. So, yeah, that's kind of what we've been restricted to, and the rest is just really good, really good practice.
Yeah, and I think it's so important. I think those two things. So one, obviously, we talk about the importance of measuring your density and the importance of that for your ATO license. So I guess we'll talk about that in a second. But second of all, absolutely that carbonation. I completely agree with you that that's the next most important thing you have to measure, because having that, like, having consistent brewing quality is dependent on carbonation level, and quality complaints can arise a lot from overcarbonation or from undercarbonation as well. So I've seen a lot of breweries start out there and spend millions of dollars and maybe save themselves 10 or 20 grand on measuring their CO2, and very quickly they found the money to measure their CO2.
Yeah, for sure.
So I guess let's talk about the ATO in that case, like, death and taxes, right?
Yeah.
How did you go getting your exercise license?
Look, that was pretty easy, to be honest. I had the experience of applying for an exercise license previously through Murray's. I was the licensee holder of the wholesale producer license up there. And then we started distilling spirits up there. So I applied for the whole distilling side of things up there. And then when it came to doing ours, look, I know there's a lot of information that they want, but I suppose when you already know what they want to hear, and it's pretty easy to give it to them. So that was actually the quickest thing that we got. I was expecting to take a lot longer. They took less than 14 days after I submitted the application for it. They came back and gave the thumbs up.
That was all Sean. Sean nailed that one.
That's great, and it's so important to nail that, because if you get it wrong, then there can be a lot of back and forth.
Yeah. But yeah, that's just, I suppose knowing the industry and knowing what information they want. I mean, they're pretty helpful. They'll go back and forth with you if there's more stuff that they do want. But yeah, that was experience, really, more than anything.
Have you ever thought about starting your own craft brewery? At the Brewers Institute, we have an online course packed with advice from the founders of the Brewers Institute for people wanting to reduce risk, save time and cost in opening a brewery. Go to thebrewerinstitute.com.
So there's a small brewers rebate for the first $350,000 worth of excise you pay. Does that make a difference to your company's financials?
100%. Yeah, without that, we wouldn't exist. So our business model was written when the rebate or the was at 100 grand. That's what we opened up on. And then it was since, I think, while we were doing the build, it increased.
It changed again, yeah.
So, yeah, our business model was based on that rebate being at $100,000, which we haven't quite reached. And obviously now we've got the opportunity to go further than that, which is pretty handy. When you're this small and your scales of economy aren't particularly good, you may not be paying that excise on each litre of beer, but everything just costs so much these days. I just don't know if you could be a small brewery opening up and not need that to survive. I suppose you'd have other strategy. Obviously, there was lots of small breweries that opened up before that rebate was any bigger than 30 grand, but yeah, I can't imagine how difficult that would be. You'd have to just really be pushing to reach a certain volume at a really, really fast rate. But definitely for our business, it's allowed us to probably grow at a little bit more of a steady rate.
Yeah.
We haven't had to chase, bottle shops and taps to try and meet a certain
Quota.
yeah.
KPI, haven't had to chase it to get to that level. It's kind of, when they want beer, they just ring us.
Yeah.
They're not kind of knocking on the door.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so do you ever intend? Do you think your business will ever get to the stage where you're making enough beer to hit that $350,000 worth of excise payable?
Something we're going to revisit, aren't we? We're going to
Yeah.
rehash the business plan and see.
You never say never, but
Yeah.
knowing the books as closely as I do, I think I'd find it very difficult. It'd be pretty difficult for us to get there.
Yeah.
On the system that we've got, unless we expanded beyond that. And, that was just it's not really a part of the plan to expand as far as an actual physical footprint beyond what we are now.
There'll be a lot of equipment needed to bring into
Yeah. So
canning line.
never say never, but probably not.
Yep, and that's it's quite refreshing to hear as well. To be honest, like business partners who know the limits of what they want their business to be and what they want to get out of it in life.
Yeah, well, I think we've seen, both Matt and I have seen what that looks like growing beyond that, as far as being in a business that is beyond that, and how hard that is to maintain and to maintain not only those volumes, like selling it, but then maintain any kind of level of quality once you get beyond a certain level. When we touched on that earlier, even trying to sell beer in the local market and keep on top of everything is pretty tricky. But then as soon as you go beyond that, you go into city or interstate, it's gonna mean many more hours of work for us as individuals, which we just don't particularly want to do. I don't think we've done this more so as a lifestyle.
Or have.
Yeah.
On to have slightly. And I think back to the product situation there, it's like the cycle of canning that we are booked in at the moment is like 6 to 7, 8 weeks, but our pallet of beer is gone by the time we're out of stock this week. We're canning next week. So the customer's getting fresh beer. Every kind of canning run, it's like new beer's hitting the ground. It's out there getting sold straight away. So
Yeah.
to us, we love fresh beer. So we just think everybody else should have fresh beer. So it's a good situation to be in like that.
Yeah, what a phenomenal little model if you can keep it and stick to it.
Yeah.
So obviously excise would be a big part of your expenses and you get that back on your BAS statement. What are the other major expenses that go into a schooner of beer?
Wages.
Your wages.
We were pretty steadfast in being able to pay ourselves from day one because we had mortgages and families and all that kind of stuff. So that was, if we were working within the business, we had to be able to pay ourselves, and that's a pretty big chunk of it.
We had about $100 in our business account, I think, when we opened. So there wasn't much there for a wage.
Yeah.
Your gas, power, water, all those things are quite instrumental in the schooner. That's for sure. They're always increasing.
They're going up at a rapid rate. Raw materials, they had a pretty big hike there for a while. So grain and hops, they've kind of steadied out a little bit now. Now things are settled down. I think international freight wise, they've become a little bit more stable. Then it's all those little things you just you don't think off the top of your head. If I could open up the Xero account, I could tell you off the top of my head. But insurance, that's pretty expensive. And it's all those little things. The little things add up really, really quickly. And before you know it, you look at all the money coming in and out in the door, and you're like, oh, it looks really good. And then the next week, you're like, and there it goes.
Sean's on the computer paying everybody.
Yeah, there are just so many little things that need to be.
They're the main components, but aren't they? Like your big chunks, I suppose, is your utilities.
At the moment, we don't own our own canning line, and we pay for an external company to come in with their canning machine, East Coast Canning, and they also have the other side of their business, which is printing our graphics on the cans and bringing them here and then filling them up for us. And that is a very, very worthwhile expense. They do a really, really good job of it. but it is a very expensive component. And so at the other end of that, we make sure that we have always
Short, yeah.
charged an appropriate amount for our beer, so that we're never cutting ourselves short.
And we stayed strong on that and still
Yeah, that's been pretty important for us. But yeah, as far as space wise, we've toyed with the idea of getting our own canning machine, and that would save us a lot of money long term if we could afford the capital outlay and afford to take up some extra space with the canning line. But for the
Obviously,
meantime,
production could pick up a little bit more, I suppose, with a canning line. But
yeah. But for the meantime, that is it is a really worthwhile expense having a company that has that experience and the quality equipment to be able to
look after your product.
Look after the product and put that, what we know and believe to be a very quality product in and make sure it stays just as high quality up until people are drinking out of a can, out of a bottle shop. So
Yeah, cool. So let's I'm interested to know about brand. Like, do you think so Method Brewing Company, where did you come up with the brand?
yeah, well, lucky enough, one of Gav's mates, he's in the branding and marketing world, and he's done all the graphics for Method Brewing and continues to do so. And he's
really lucky to have him from the start. Really, like he kind of took it. He was working on. We were building the brewery. I suppose he was looking at the brand back then. So when we did open, it was, we opened with tins in the fridge. So he'd already built and got that ready to go. So,
and we had a pretty lengthy back and forth with him on what we were trying to convey with the brand, who we're trying to appeal to, even down to the font type of Method on each can and what that means, what that looks like to different people. So
you had a branding strategy session, basically.
Yeah, for sure. And that all of that is really important. You kind of forget about it.
I know. Now you go.
Yeah, once it's all set in place, you sort of, it's just where we are Method. But yeah, that was all very purposeful to start with. Absolutely.
Yeah. Great person to have in the corner.
And do you think it makes a difference to your sales and to your offering to have a solid brand behind you?
Yeah.
You'd have
tins in the fridge, definitely. Yeah. There's so many, as you know, tins in the fridge. So to stand out or to, poke your nose out there, it's kind of so important to be on, on brand, I suppose.
Yeah. And now just now that we're talking about it, I'm remembering one of the essential things that we were talking about with Elliot, our marketing and branding guy, that we wanted to have the look of a brand that could easily be distributed nationally, but was only distributed locally. So it's got that look of a bigger, a company that's professional. I suppose looks like a professional company. Not too much going on. We just didn't want it to look like a backyard. Three guys chuck some ingredients in a barrel and made beer. It's got to look like we knew what we're doing.
Simplified, not confusing.
Simple. Simple and professional.
But it's a really interesting concept that you bring up, because you could have easily called yourself Islington Brewing Company, or which is where you're located, or Newcastle Brewing Company. But you think that might have potentially put some limiting factors on potential growth if you decided to grow.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did toy around, I think, with a name that's conveyed local. And then there just wasn't any, but also at the same time didn't limit us. So I think, there was a lot of names thrown around.
There was,
Where did Method
back onto a railway line? There was like even railway tracks.
Yeah, railway tracks. Yeah.
Where did Method come from?
I actually had that one in the bag in the back pocket for a while. I'm the kind of person that starts writing a list, and then I have one thing on the list, and then the list never gets looked at again. And that was one of them. It was ages ago. I just had that sitting there, and I didn't particularly ever think anything much of it, because as a business we had a different name to start with, and then that kind of went out the window for various reasons. And then we tried to toy with a whole heap of other names, and then I sort of threw that one out there, and
It's stuck.
Yeah, it was stuck. Mr. Elliott liked it. So,
Neil Cameron liked it.
yeah, when the marketing and branding guy likes it, then it's probably all right. So, and it's got it. I don't know. It's short. It's simple, but it means something as well. The method of
There's a method. There's a method.
There's a method to it. Making beer there is a method to that. So
There is indeed. I love how you're continually referring to the external people outside of your partnership that you rely on for that sort of external validation. Like, your branding guy, Evan loved it, or, your brewing consultant backed up your thoughts in brewing or even in branding, etc. So it's interesting that you're not just got an inner circle that's really insular. You're clearly open to working with the right people and taking on their experience as well.
yeah, 100%. You got to be very much open to external advice and influence
Definitely feedback as well.
and feedback and all of those kind of things, because you don't always have to listen to it, but it's really, really helpful when someone provides a bit of good feedback or advice.
Especially people that have been in the industry for a long time as well. You've got to respect that opinion or feedback that you're getting from them, because some people that we did rely on, they were kind of been around the industry for a long time and you had to take it on board.
Yeah, that's interesting. So what about? I mean, it's a difficult one, but what about culture? How do you create culture in a small family partnership like you've got, or three family partnership like you've got now?
How did we do that? It just evolved it.
Yeah. I don't know.
A lot of things that we did, it just kind of, I don't know, it happened on the run.
Yeah. A lot of things weren't forced, and they became their own. They became their own thing. I suppose that's one of them.
What sort of a culture would you like to try and foster in your organization?
Internally within our organisation, I suppose we're pretty receptive to each other's ideas.
Pretty easy going.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think we're all pretty similar personality types. No one's got a shit idea. It's just maybe an idea that
You put in the bank
yeah.
for another day.
Put on one of
Well,
Sean's lists.
I think we all know that but you don't want to discourage anyone from coming up with a good or an idea of any kind, because it could be absolute gold. So I think we always try to foster each other's abilities to come up with new ideas, different ideas, and
Years change. That's the thing. Like, it kind of, especially throughout the tap room, 3 years old now, so it's kind of had to evolve with different periods of what goes on, and hence why new ideas come in. We've got this. We do a super terrific fun beer day. We're trying to do that every 8 weeks, so we invite other breweries in, so they have 2 taps each and another 2 breweries. So certain things like that, like
Did you
ideas
say
like that.
super terrific fun beer day?
That's the one.
Wow.
Instead of a battle of the brews, it's just a good excuse to get on the beers with other breweries, and that's working really well, isn't it?
yeah.
That's kind of, if that's evolved over time, just trying to make it a point of difference for people to come to the brewery. So I suppose that's how we changed a bit, didn't we? To try and work on things to generate more customer base through the tap room, and so far so good.
Yeah. So I've got three more questions for you before we wind up, because I've only got this much of my beer left, and I don't want to crack a third. Well, I do actually. I might later on. But we've talked about the build up to your business. Have you got a customer? Do you?
Yeah, we just pointed them on the different way.
Awesome. All right. So we've talked about the build up, how you started the brewery and your plans to building. But have you built an exit strategy into your business plan?
We've talked about that. We've definitely talked about this. That was a while ago. That was in the business plan.
Yep.
I don't know. We'd have to bring up the business plan. It's probably in there somewhere.
Yep.
No, it was
this one is-
considered. It was considered anyway.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. It definitely was. I just can't remember what we came up with.
Yeah, you've got to have a plan.
Yeah. Just can't tell you what that plan is right now.
No,
Well, it doesn't sound like you're focused on it, to be fair.
own the building.
No,
Which
you
is
can't
great.
focus. Yeah, that's right. There are some plans there. I vaguely remember that was,
Yeah,
but it was always going to be a a moving target. You know, things change pretty rapidly, so it's kind of like the birthing plan. You know, you've got all the plan set out, and then as soon as things start happening, it gets thrown out the window.
Yeah,
But
guaranteed.
so,
And things have changed so much in 3 years. Like it's been a bit of a roller coaster,
Yeah.
really. But
Yeah.
More the hospitality side of things. Like
What does he's one of those big like God questions. What does success look like in your eyes with your business?
consistency in the tap room, like a constant
yeah,
volume of people. I think
Yeah.
coming through the doors. That'd be good. Wholesale just to keep as it is, I suppose. And I don't know. What do you think?
Well, I think to be a commercially viable business,
Yeah.
solidly commercially viable business. You know, that's obviously the number one
Yeah.
aim. Otherwise, if you're not, you don't get to be a business, and then you don't get to make beer.
Yes.
But then,
Our product to stay consistent.
yeah,
Yeah.
to be always providing the product that we set out to make in the first place,
Yeah.
and then slowly but surely to be able to give ourselves a little bit more of a lifestyle, I suppose.
Yeah.
That looks like success to me, to be able to spend more time with family and friends than within the business. As fun as the business is, you know, for the first 2 years, and even still now, it's like we live here.
Yeah.
And you don't want to live the majority of your life within your business, even if it's the funnest business in the world, which, you know, brewing's pretty close to.
There's a lot of hard hours that have to go into it.
Yeah, but you eventually want to get yourself into a position where the jobs that you don't necessarily long to do are being done by other people.
Yep.
And you can spend some more time doing the more fun side of things. So yeah, I think that's
Definitely. Yep.
Do you think that's achievable?
yeah.
Definitely.
And I think the business plan said it was achievable. And, you know, even though there was some rockier road, I think, than we expected getting to this point, I think we're now coming to a point where we can really see that light and know that that's, 100%, that's very achievable. There's a lot more hard work to be done between now and then, but it's definitely something that we're slowly progressing towards, for sure.
You can see the light
Yeah.
into the tunnel there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
That's amazing. Cool. So my last question, go back to the time of conception of concept. If you had your time all over again, would you do it again?
Guaranteed.
Or would you say no?
Oh,
Guaranteed.
every time.
Yep.
It was, it's hard. Don't get me wrong. I mean,
It's
Matt will tell you nearly more than anyone, because he was the one that was had a brand new child, and he was the one that had the builder's badge on his shirt.
With good help.
But still, he had to, do some extreme hours here in getting this place to be what it is because of the budget that we had.
Yeah.
That's and
Things kind of rolled. Like they were put on deadlines by plumbers, for example, Brewtique, when, the brew house was originally coming Australia Day. So prior to that, plumbers needed to be done before, I needed to be ready before Christmas, or we wouldn't see them until February.
yeah.
So there was all these things that were put in place that we had to work through that
So
helped things along.
So
and
shit had to be done,
Yeah.
and it happened quick. I mean, I don't know. I've talked to a few brewery startups that have been done in a decent time frame, but I feel like our time frame beats most that we know of. It was short, and it was I was about to say sweet, but it was hard. So that side of things, I suppose when you're in the moment of a few things, you're probably like, fuck.
things were like, I suppose with COVID, with our delivery of brew house, like it was supposed to be Australia Day that January, and then it didn't turn up until I think April.
Yeah.
So it got put off, but we were well and truly ahead of schedule due to all this. So we could take a bit of time off there to go and earn some money for starters. Like that was kind of, spending all the time here, but we're ready, prepared. So once Brewtique were ready to go, we were actually ready, well and truly. So certain things happened well for us.
But yeah, I think for us, I think we can speak on behalf of Gav as well. Would never consider not doing this now that we've done it. It's we get to work for ourselves. There's a lot of responsibilities, obviously, on our shoulders just to do what we need to do, but also there's a lot of flexibility in, if one of us needs to do something, there's two others that pick up the slack and
three's been good
soldier
because you bounce off each other, so you can kind of, if you are unsure, there's always two other minions that can kind of back you up or get ready to. It's a good idea.
Yeah.
And that was with the build as well. There was a lot of stuff going to and from that we kind of, all three of us, kind of bounced through pretty easy.
And I'd never work for anyone else again. Fuck that.
No.
Oh, beautiful. Gents, look, let's leave it there. Thank you so much. I know you've got a customers probably knocking at your door again, trying to get in and get some beers. So thanks so much for your time and your insights. It's been enlightening. It's been great. And the beers have been fantastic. So
Yeah.
thanks very much.
Mate.
Pleasure, mate.
Anyone out there, go, if you're visiting Newcastle, drop into Method Brewing Company and visit Matt and Sean and Gavin. Have yourselves a few great beers.
Legend.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks, Michael.
Thanks for listening. We'd really appreciate if you could leave an iTunes review or rating or follow us on Spotify. It'll help aspiring brewers find our cast and hear the journey of our great guests.